point to the logo on my chest and tell them, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. Hit it up hard, hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, ego, Slammy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What is going on, everybody? Here, November 6th, 2025, a day in Padres history that we're going to remember for good, maybe for bad. We shall see. But the Padres have their next manager, and it is a surprise. AJ Preller seems like he never disappoints with these surprises. Craig Stammen is the next manager of our San Diego Padres. We heard about Ruben Niebla. We heard about Nick Hundley. We heard about Albert Pujols. We heard about Ryan Flaherty interviewing for this job. According to AJ Preller, who went on Ben and Woods just a few minutes ago, there were 50 names that were written down on a piece of paper, and they narrowed it down to those finalists, the three. I don't think Flaherty was a finalist. They narrowed it down to those three finalists, and then Craig Stammen. Craig Stammen was that one guy that we didn't know. Kevin Acee, which I'm surprised by because Kevin Acee covers the Padres and has relationships with past players, and maybe he would have known about Craig Stammen, but the Padres kept this thing really tight-lipped. And credit, I mean, they just put it out officially earlier this morning, and then AJ Preller's already on Ben and Woods talking about it. So this was happening already, and we just didn't know about it. So I do give credit to the Padres for keeping it tight-lipped in terms of the guy that they're actually hiring. Pujols with Rock Nation and all that, like that was going to get out because he wants to manage. Maybe he or his people around him knew that he wasn't going to get the job. So, hey, let's get our name out there that we sat with the Padres for 9 hours. We had a Zoom interview as well. We were one of the finalists for the job. Let's get that out there so that other teams, like maybe the Colorado Rockies, will come calling and try to hire Albert to be their manager. I am happy that Albert is not the Padres' next manager. I know that there were a ton of Padres fans that wanted to see Albert Pujols be the next manager, but there were risks with that. Did he have credibility? Did he have respect in the clubhouse on day one? Of course he did, because he's Albert Pujols. But he's not swinging the bat. He's managing. And I know he'd done it before in, I think, winter ball in the Dominican Republic, but it's different in the big leagues. And sure, Craig Stammen hasn't managed before, but what he has done, he's been in the Padres organization for a few years now as a player development assistant, I believe. And so he's been in the minors working with guys. He's been at the big league level. He's been at Petco Park. I've seen it. He's been at Petco Park with his kids. He still had a home in Coronado. He's been at spring training, helping out. Him, Alan Craig, and AJ Ellis were brought in by AJ Preller when they were done playing to be assistants under him to help out the organization. So he's been involved. He had a relationship with Mike Shildt beforehand. And so I think that's where, we can talk about Nick Hundley as well. I wanted Nick Hundley to be the manager. If, keep Ruben as the pitching coach, have Nick Hundley be the manager, maybe bring Bud Black in as the bench coach. Like, I would have been fine with that. The difference between Hundley and Stammen, while they probably went with Stammen over Hundley, I wouldn't be surprised if, now, because I am seeing that Niebla was that other finalist, so maybe Hundley placed third in this. But between Hundley and Stammen, the difference there is Stammen's been in the organization for a few years. Hundley would be coming from the Rangers. Obviously, he's familiar with the Padres. He's participated in Padres events, like Fantasy Camp, I believe, in recent years. But he wasn't in the organization at spring training in a Padre uniform like Craig Stammen was. And so Stammen has those relationships, and you want to talk about trying to have this switch to a new manager from Shildt to Stammen. You want to talk about it being as smooth of a transition as possible and quick, and this new manager knows what he's walking into. He knows who he's going to be interacting with. Then Craig Stammen makes sense. I feel like an idiot. I don't know why I didn't think of Craig Stammen, because I knew that he was in the organization. I thought of AJ Ellis. I didn't have Craig Stammen on my radar. But this is a guy that has pitched in the postseason. He has a big resume, long big league career. He is not as successful on the pitching side as Albert Pujols was on the hitting side, but I don't care. You don't need to hit 700 home runs to be a successful big league manager. You just don't. And Craig Stammen, talk about a guy, and I talked about this with Nick Hundley. Talk about a guy who knows what it's like to be at the bottom. I think that's important. Someone that can relate to the players and he can have these conversations. And he knows, obviously, a ton about pitching. And I'm sure that he's thought a lot about game strategy. And if he impressed AJ Preller, he impressed the Padres, whoever was a part of this process, then I'm going to trust that. And you look at his big league career, he had a 3.66 ERA, 13 years in the big leagues. We know Manny Machado is the big guy in that clubhouse. What does he respect? He respects guys that have been it. That have been in it, right? They posted. They have 13 years in the show. Remember when Jerks and Profar, I think him and Will Smith or something, it was probably Will Smith, got into that little altercation there at Dodger Stadium. And then there was the whole Sunday Night Baseball thing and everything that happened. Manny Machado's response to that was like, you don't do that. You don't say that about someone, because Will Smith called Profar kind of irrelevant. You don't do that to someone that has 10 years in the show. Manny respects that, and Craig Stammen fills that box. And this is not someone that you should hire just because Manny Machado is okay with it, but Manny Machado better be okay with it, the person that you're hiring, because you need that guy to be bought in from day one so he can help carry that message and help really lead this team and start it off well in spring training, and then you just carry it through. Talk about being at the bottom for Craig Stammen. Let's not forget, this guy was signed on a minor league deal by the Padres in 2016. Who knows how long his career was? Who knows how long he thought his career would have been after that? A minor league deal. And then he went on and pitched for 6 big league seasons for the Padres. And he had a sub-4 ERA doing it. And he had a ton of respect in that clubhouse by position players, by pitchers. And so, again, that respect does go a long way. It's someone that's been in the big leagues. He knows what it's like to struggle. He knows what it's like to be on postseason teams. He was on postseason teams with the Washington Nationals. He's played with big superstars like Bryce Harper, obviously Manny, Tatis. Like he's been teammates with these guys. So I think that can help. But he's also been teammates with guys that are the last guys on the bench, the last guys in the bullpen, fighting for a job in spring training. And through those 13 years being in the big leagues, I'm sure he's had a ton of conversations with managers, with pitching coaches, with bench coaches on how to go about certain things. So I like this hire more than Albert Pujols. Could they have gone the former manager route? Yes. Could have they hired Scott Service or David Ross, someone, with that former managing experience? They could have. But I think it's pretty clear the Padres wanted to go with someone that knew what they were walking into, and this transition will be as smooth as possible because that person's been in the organization. They're in the area. They're in San Diego already, and they're walking in. They have relationships with some big guys. Craig Stammen, he was teammates with Crony, with Nando, with Manny, with Adrian Morejon. There's probably guys that I'm forgetting right now, but he's been in there with those guys. And so I think that helps as well. Like those guys can immediately back Craig Stammen up as, yep, follow in this guy's lead. This guy knows what he's talking about. So it's going to be interesting. Is it a risk? Yeah, because the guy's never managed in the big leagues before. But what also is encouraging to me is that, according to Kevin Acee, a lot of this coaching staff is going to be retained. Ruben Niebla, the plan is for him to be retained. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Brian Esposito, I would think, would be retained. Would they keep him as the bench coach? I mean, I would not mind that. The guy seems pretty sharp, and he was just the bench coach under Mike Schilt. Like, he knows what he's doing in that role. So he has experience there, and that can help, I think, as well with Craig Stammen. Even if he hasn't managed in the big leagues before, Brian Esposito, the guy has managed in the minors before. He's got a lot of experience former catcher, I believe, a lot of baseball experience in that, and he's been in that dugout obviously recently, just this past year. So he can help. Like he helped Mike Schilt make decisions. Let's not act like this was just Mike Schilt making decisions. Like Ruben Niebla as well helped. So you've got two guys there if they stay in Espo and Niebla that can help Craig Stammen with this transition. They know what spring training's like as a coaching staff. And Craig probably knows a little bit as well because he was there at spring training recently, doing things and helping out. So I'm not super down on this hire. I know social media is going to be doomers about this. And shout out to my uncle. He's already talking about how he thinks the Padres, they're going to be a 500 team, and this isn't the hire the Padres needed at this moment. I'm not going to sit here and, knock it when it's Craig Stammen, because there are some Padres fans that maybe they recently hopped on and they don't really know who Craig Stammen is, but people that have been here know who Craig Stammen is. And I think if you take a measured view of this, like you zoom out a little bit here and just calm down and relax, don't look at his playing career and be like, oh, Craig Stammen, like, wasn't a high leverage reliever for the Padres at the end of his career. But let's remember, I mean, in the wild card series, he was big in 2020 in that wild card series. He started, I believe, game 3 for the Pods in that series because they couldn't go with Chris Paddock. So he did have some success with the Padres. If you're a real one, you will remember I was at this game, a Sunday day game, where he gave up back-to-back-to-back-to-back home runs. Anthony Rendon, Trey Turner, Ryan Zimmerman, I forget who the other one was. But he gave up 4 consecutive home runs, and the Padres lost that game. I remember sitting there, burning my you-know-what off, and that was an ugly scene. But just think about what a story that would be, where you've got a guy that gave up 4 consecutive home runs and wasn't able to be a part of a team that finished the job with the Padres, to then being the World Series manager for the Padres. Like, that would be pretty sick. So who knows what the rest of this coaching staff is going to look like. It seems like a lot of them are going to stay, so that's great. Who's going to be the third base coach? Who's going to be the hitting coach? Are they going to shuffle around any pieces? Is it going to be internal hires that maybe played smaller roles, but now they can come in? Would you put Alan Craig as a hitting coach? Would you elevate we'll see. But Craig, with the experience that he has in San Diego, the experience he has at the big league level, he obviously pitched in the minor leagues, had to. He's been around the Padres at spring training. The conversations that we don't know about that he, I no doubt, has had, I think that can help him. And if you have Ruben and you have Brian Esposito there helping him along, then I don't think it's that big of a deal. To be honest, I get tired of people bringing up that, oh, he doesn't have big league managing experience, or these candidates that interviewed with the Padres didn't have big league managing experience. Well, guess what? Every Hall of Fame manager at one point had no big league experience. Like, you have to take that chance on them for them to be successful. And I rather have the Padres take the chance on Craig Stammen, who's been here, than on Albert Pujols, to be honest. And that might be an insane take, but I don't care. That's how I feel. So, any thoughts? Obviously, I welcome those. I will go through the comments here today. Was not expecting this. The Padres manager I thought was going to get hired at some point this week. You got the GM meetings coming up soon. The 3 finalists that was an article written by Kevin, I think last week. So it was going to happen. But Craig Stammen, seeing that this morning, was not the name that I was thinking. But Kevin did mention that, there could be that mystery 4th candidate beyond Hundley, Niebla, and Pujols. And it ended up being Stammen. It could have been some person that wasn't in the organization, and the Padres hired that person. And I don't know how I would have felt about that. And I think people got to remember, this coaching staff that helped this was not just Mike Schilt, okay? This was a lot of people on that coaching staff helping the Padres win a lot of baseball games, prepare them to win a lot of baseball games. These coaching staffs put in a ton of work under the manager, and they don't get the props, but they put in a lot of work, and they deserve that props. The Padres have just won 90 games at least in the past 2 seasons, back to back. And so I think people need to remember that. And I know people are going to think about the postseason because that's what matters the most. And obviously, I don't blame you for thinking that. But to me, the postseason comes down to guys being healthy and guys being better. Like in 2024, with a lot of the same coaching staff that's probably coming back, and there's a lot of the same players, they had the Dodgers right there, and they could have won the World Series that year, and then the offense didn't score. That's on the coaching staff. This year, had a winner-take-all game 3. Not the best start to the game, but the offense could have been better. Offense could have been better in the other game that they lost to the Cubs. So a lot of this falls on the players being better. I highly doubt that they were unprepared going into these games by the coaching staff. I'm sure they're given a lot of information. And when you work with these players for that long throughout the season, the coaching staff knows what they need. So it's not on the coaching staff once the playoffs come around. Like, were the players prepared enough? Yeah, they were prepared enough. So it comes down to these big guys being better and just the team overall, specifically on offense, them being better when it matters the most. And to sit here, for people to sit here and think that Craig Stammen can't go manage this team, I just don't understand why. Like, he's not being an astronaut. He's not going up into space. It's managing a baseball team. And he's been this isn't me going out there and managing the Padres. The guy's been in the big leagues for 13 years. And then he helped the Padres for a few years after that and was still here in San Diego during that time. Like, this isn't like the most bizarre hire ever. You know, this is a team that hired Jace Tingler. This is not hiring Jace Tingler. So hopefully people can understand that. Anything else that I should discuss here before? Okay, so I was going to get to Ramon Laureano here because that news came out. But another one, so Niebla plans to be retained. It's a 3-year contract for Craig Stammen. So to me, that means that Preller is going to get a 2-year extension on top of him being the president of baseball ops for 2026. So through, what would that be, 2028? Stammen and Preller, I assume they'd be lined up. It wouldn't make sense to not line them up. It wouldn't make sense to have Preller be the GM through 2029 or give him a 1-year extension or don't give him an extension. You just let him hire the manager or at least lead the managing process. And I assume this was a big Preller decision because Stammen was the one working under Preller. So I think Preller had a pretty big voice in this. You line them up on contracts through 2028, and there you go. Preller, obviously, on Ben and Woods this morning, wasn't going to say anything about a potential contract, but that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, the world blew up. He's getting a contract extension. Victor Rodriguez went to the Astros. I covered that yesterday. Tim Leeper, I didn't see that before, but he, I guess, is with the New York Mets now. So he was our third base coach, and so the Padres will have to hire a new hitting coach, a new third base coach, and then new coaches if anybody else leaves. I'm still thinking if I'm the Colorado Rockies, I am offering Ruben Niebla the managing job. Either that or Pujols. I'm not the biggest fan of Pujols, but if you're the Rockies, you have nothing to lose. How about you generate some excitement in that fan base and you go hire Albert Pujols to be your manager? What could go wrong? Oh, it fails? Oh, it's been failing for however long. Bud Black didn't work. You're going to hire this interim manager, whoever that was, over Albert Pujols. You're the Rockies. Why not go make that big splash? you're in a position that you can do that. Where the Padres, I feel like you gotta not go for the big name, go for the guy that can be the best manager, and that's what they did. That's what AJ did. Um, Glenn Hoffman come back? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, make this a all 2019 Padres. Bring Will Myers in to be a hitting coach. Bring in Greg Garcia or Travis Jankowski or Hunter Renfroe. Be the third base coach. Franmil Reyes, bring him in. No, it seems like a lot of this coaching staff is going to remain the same. Anything from this AC article? Just some background. After pitching in the major leagues, Stammen served as a special assistant in the player development department the past 2 years. In that role, he alternated between working with minor leaguers and spending time with the big league club. In his 6 seasons pitching for the Padres, he grew to possess a leadership role that was extremely rare for a middle reliever, serving as a mentor and sounding board in all corners of the clubhouse. Among those who revered him and were swayed by his counsel in various instances was Manny Machado, which Manny obviously played a role in this. The Craig Stammen game 3 of the wild card series, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, worked 1 2/3 scoreless innings as the first of 9 pitchers used in that 4-0 victory. Padres' first postseason win, obviously, since 1998. He stayed in Coronado even after he retired. A tight circle of team officials led by Chairman John Seidler, President of Baseball Ops AJ Preller, and CEO Eric Grutner chose Stammen over Albert Pujols, Nick Hundley, and Ruben Niebla. The plan is for Niebla, who has 2 years remaining on his contract, to be retained. I already went over the coaching staff stuff. According to people familiar with the interview process, Stammen impressed Padres officials in his interviews with the genuine manner in which he communicated, his conviction about how a team should be run, and his knowledge of the organization. Preller has long held Stammen in high regard for his leadership skills and straightforward way of communicating. Preller had spoken several times over the years about Stammen having a future in the game in whatever role he wants. Well, in that role right now, being the next Padres manager. Half dozen players remain from Stammen's last season: Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Yu Darvish, Adrian Morejon, Joe Musgrove, and Fernando Tatis Jr. And I'm sure Stammen has seen, the failures in certain Padres managers and the successes. What would he do, right? Like, that's something when people have been in it, right? They've been managed by someone above them. And then they get the opportunity to manage people below them or, mentor them or whatever. They learn certain things. They learn, okay, what did this person do with me that I should do with this next person? Because you always want to improve it. You want that next person to be better than you were. And so how can I take these past things? What did this person do well? Okay, I'm going to do that. What did this person maybe not do so well? Looking back at it, what do I think this person could have done better with me that I can do better with this next person? So Craig Stammen can learn those things and hopefully be better than those past guys in certain things. It could be the smallest thing. It could be some spring training message. It could be how you communicate with a certain player on the team. You communicate that you're sending them down to the minor leagues, like a message. Maybe you wouldn't have said it a certain way, or you would say it that way. Or in his career with the Nationals, like certain things that happened then that he can change, and learn from and be better there. So I'm fascinated by this hiring. I'm not going to sit here and crap on it, especially when it's Craig Stammen. This is not Jace Tingler that's being hired. I remember how pissed off I was when Jace Tingler was hired over Ron Washington. And I and thousands of San Diegans ended up being correct with that. I'm seeing a lot of people mad, like, who? What the heck is going on with this hire? I'm seeing that on social media, but I get it. It's social media. I hope a lot of you are wrong with this. I hope that Craig Stammen is the correct guy, but we shall see. Let me check if there's anything going on, any updates on social media real quick. Ramon Laureano, by the way, John Heyman reported today that the Padres have picked up his club option, so he's returning, obviously. Dennis Lin tweeting here, multiple teams expressed interest in Padres bullpen coach Ben Fritz, but he recently received a new multi-year deal. Great. That's awesome. So that means I would think that Niebla and Ben Fritz are going to stay as the pitching coach combo. Love that. Love that. You don't hear a negative word about either of those two. Yep. Alden Gonzalez also saying, Jeff Passan reposting, Ruben Niebla expected to return as Padres pitching coach. Padres, when they picked up Ramon Laureano's option, by the way, $6.5 million, had a big year. He's one of the most important players on this Padres team, is what it seems like right now. And so that was a no-brainer. Anything? I don't see any other updates to bring up. I did see someone from KY Sports Radio. I guess they had a Craig Stammen scoop. Matt Jones of at KY Sports Radio. Never heard of this guy, but he's got 330,000 followers, so maybe that's on me. The Kai Sports Radio Show. Is that Kentucky? Craig Stammen is the new Padres manager. Random person just texted me, is what this Matt Jones guy said. And this was 8:04 a.m. So he said, so this is the full tweet. Random person just texted me. Craig Stammen is the new Padres manager. So I'm going to break that even though I don't know who that is. What? He didn't know who Craig Stammen was. If Craig Stammen, who I reiterate I did not know existed until moments ago, is not the new Padres manager, I will go back to having zero Padres info and scoop. That's hilarious. So Matt Jones actually breaking this news. Credit to you. I don't know who you are really, but that's funny. I obviously didn't go with that because I trust Kevin Acee, Jeff Passan, Dennis Lin, but that actually was true, that's funny. Does Craig Stammen have a Kentucky connection? I need to look up his Wikipedia now. He went to Dayton, born in Ohio. I don't know. Maybe did he play minor league baseball in Kentucky? Oh, okay. In AAA, he played for the Columbus Clippers in Columbus, Ohio. So maybe someone remembers Craig Stammen in 2007 and they knew Matt Jones and texted Matt Jones this? I don't know. All right. Interesting. Anyway, before getting to the comments, shout out to the great partners of this show, Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road. Check them out. Link in the description. Their menu, their address, phone number, all that good stuff. Great cheesesteaks, garlic fries, cheesesteak fries. If you're going to SDFC's playoff match, winner take all, advance to the next round, coming up on Sunday night at 6 p.m. against Portland. Gaglione Bros is at Snapdragon Stadium on the east side there. So check them out. San Diego Wave playing earlier in the day at noon on ABC at Portland. So it's a big beat Portland weekend here in San Diego. So check both of those out. Noon on ABC is the Wave, and then SDFC on MLS Season Pass at 6 p.m., I believe, against Portland Timbers. San Diego State basketball back in action. Smoked Long Beach State, and that's without Reese Waters and Magoon Guath. So got some talent there. Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. Click the link in the description to check those out. There's obviously not just Padres and Aztecs, but there's other cities, other sports. So just go through that link, and then you'll see a bunch of different options there. And SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email address. Not just Padres games, but other events, concerts. So just trying to help you out there. All right, we've got hundreds of comments here to get to. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for the time. We got super chats. If you do a super chat, I appreciate it. It supports the channel. I do pay like almost $50 a month to use this platform to just make the visual and the audio as well. Because I used to use Riverside because it was free, and then it didn't work out very great. So I switched back. So any of that, just to help refill that, is greatly appreciated. But let's go to Jay Cervantes first. I think Pujols probably didn't want at Niebla, like didn't want Niebla as the pitching coach. I mean, the Padres could have said like Niebla is the pitching coach, whether you like it or not. But that's no. Pujols wants to manage. He would have taken Niebla to be the pitching coach. If he got the managing job, he would have done it. So I disagree with that. I think the Padres just decided to go in a different direction. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him manage. Like, if you're the Marlins, if you're the Pirates, if you're the White Sox, well, I like Venable, but just you get it. One of these bad teams, why would you sit and hire someone that's managed in the minor leagues that's a no-name, while maybe you feel like that's the like, and I feel like it's from an ownership perspective. No, we're hiring Albert Pujols because it's a big splash and it creates the discussion around the franchise. And why not? Like, what do you have to lose when you're such a bad organization? That's from like a Dick Monfort perspective. I feel like let's hire Albert Pujols. Why not? So I won't be surprised if Pujols is managing. I just don't think they're gonna. I don't think a serious World Series contending team will be hiring Albert Pujols as a first-time manager. All right, let's go to JD's third, who usually is negative, so not a surprise that we got negative here. But thank you. Ben, we won less games this year than last year. We didn't make it as far as in the playoffs, bounced in the wild card round, 0 playoff games at Petco, not good. Okay, yeah. But like, if you're just going to look at it that way, I don't really know what to tell you. Did the Padres offense play better than they did last postseason? No. So that's kind of what that is. I remember in the wild card series last year against the Braves, where you had the offense go off. You had, I think, Nando homered, Higgy homered. Like, you had guys producing offensively. So I don't know if you're trying to pin this on the manager or okay, Preller is what you're trying to do. All he can do is put the Padres in the best position possible to go win. He can't control that the Padres offense didn't score in 24 consecutive innings in 2024. He can't control that the offense didn't do a good enough job in Game 3 of the Wild Card Series or in the first game that they lost. So all he's done is put the Padres in position on paper, because he can't control injuries either, in position to go far in October, and that's all he can do. So pinning this on AJ, I don't know. How about we pin it on the players that are in the batter's box? Sure, you can talk about, and JD's third says here, 11 years, 0 division titles. Okay, you got the Dodgers in the division, so that's not really fair to be like 0 division titles in 11 years. 0 pennants, 0 World Series appearances, 6 managers in 8 years, and dozens of coaches. AJ Preller is overrated and a disaster. Okay. You want to see what a disaster is? Go look at the Rockies. You want to see what a disaster is? Go look at the Marlins. You want to see what a disaster is? The Padres are not the team. Go look at the Angels, okay? Calling it a disaster is stupid. It's not a disaster. And there's multiple teams that would love to have AJ Preller run their front office. Just saying. I think JD's third, you're probably one of those that just doesn't realize what you have until it's gone. Like, Once it's gone, then maybe you'll realize. We'll see. I have a fly on my hat. What the heck? All right. Thank you for the super chats, though, JD's third. I just disagree. Let's go to the top of the chat here. Holy cow. Tons of comments. Thank you guys. Much appreciated. Oh, JD's third. First here says, didn't take Ben long to fall in line. Another white guy hired by AJ. Really? That's what we're going to do? That's what we're making this? Come on. Who the F is Craig Stammen? Maybe you're a new Padre fan. He used to play for the Padres for 6 years. He played in the big leagues for over a decade. He's been in the organization the last couple of years. He was a reliever in the big leagues. That's who Craig Stammen is. It's one thing for people to have this reaction if it was Jace Tingler. Who the F is Jace Tingler? I get that. Who the F is Andy Green? I get that. But to not know who Craig Stammen is, I think that means that you're a new fan, a casual fan, and that's okay. But I'm just educating you. Like, those that watch every game, those that have been Padres fans for a long time, and before the team was good, before the team was brown and gold, you know who Craig Stammen is. And even when the team was brown and gold, Craig Stammen pitched for the Padres. You're telling me you rather have Stammen over Pujols? Crazy. I know people are going to think that's crazy, but sorry for being attracted to the guy that knows what he's walking into instead of the guy that has never been with the Padres, and I wouldn't feel as confident in Albert Pujols as I do in Craig Stammen. A lot of the time, the most successful managers are guys that didn't have the best big league careers. The Hall of Fame talents, not the best managers. Even coaches. Pujols could have at least helped hitters with their mechanics. You really think that whoever the Padres bring in as their hitting coach can't help hitters with their mechanics too? Like, people thinking that Albert Pujols can do something that nobody else can do. Like, come on, what are we doing? Yes, he's one of the most talented hitters of all time. But there are other people that can teach the game without having hit 700 home runs. Like, that's possible too. It's really about observing what that player is doing and seeing what can be fixed there with their swing, their body, that sort of thing. Albert Pujols had one type of body and his swing, and it worked for him. That doesn't mean it's going to work for whoever's struggling. And could Albert, like, if the Padres offered Pujols a hitting coach spot, would he take it? I don't know. Maybe he would take it because it would put him in as a coach to get him in the dugout and get him experience with that. Maybe he would take that. And then the next progression in a couple years another team would go hire him to be their manager. Maybe other teams would be more confident in Pujols if he were to be a hitting coach somewhere. You know? So I'm not saying, like, don't hire Pujols to be a hitting coach or he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, he does, but those most talented players of all time, like, sometimes they find it hard to relate to the last guy because the thought processes are different, their abilities are just different, their talent levels are just different. So I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, who was the hitting coach? Regarded as one of the best hitting coaches in the game. Is he still with the Phillies? Phillies, I think he is. Phillies hitting coach. Kevin Long. He's looked at as one of the best hitting coaches in the game. Can anyone tell me what Kevin Long did in his big league career? Was he a Hall of Fame player? I'll tell you that. No. I actually, like, couldn't really tell you what he did in his career. Did he play in the big leagues? He was selected in the 31st round of the 1989 Major League Baseball draft. Kevin Long. There's nothing about a big league career on his Wikipedia page, so I assume he didn't make it to the big leagues. Successful, it seems like, college career, played at the University of Arizona, played alongside Trevor Hoffman, won an NCAA tournament in 1986. Like, my point here is, did you play a little bit? Yes. Okay. Then that guy can still be very successful at the big league level. You don't have to be Albert Pujols. No matter who they hired, you were going to glaze. No, if they were to hire Pujols, I would have been like, that's a very entertaining selection. I would be interested in seeing what was happening, but no, that would not have been a hire that I would have glazed. Ben's reading off a script. They had it ready for him. No, then why am I saying If it was a script, I wouldn't be saying Damage control. People really think I don't talk to AJ. I don't talk to people in the Padres front office. I am literally a Padres fan. That's it. Craig Stammen was trash at the end. It's not about what he did in his playing career. At the end of his playing career, a long playing career. The guy was on a minor league deal and then pitched for 6 more big league seasons. If anything, that should be like, wow, what an impressive accomplishment to do that. That's kind of embarrassing for these people that are, to be honest, anyone that's trying to be like, oh, Ben loves him a white manager. Really? This is what we're making that about? Come on. Stupid hire. Just a truly dumb organization. Tingler, the next hitting coach. He actually, like, this is actually real news. He went and joined Tony Vitello with the San Francisco Giants because they're like best friends. Is what it seems like. So Tingler was with the Twins as the bench coach under Rocco. He gets fired. Tingler goes to the Giants, and now he's going to be managing against the Padres, or not managing, but helping Tony Vitello manage against the Padres. Garcia says, very disappointed with this hire, very underwhelming. See, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people wanted the big name because they equate big name, Hall of Fame career. That means that it'll be successful as a big league manager. That's not how this works. Someone asked, what is the point of Pujols or Niebla interviews than hire Stammen, who has 0 coaching or managing experience? Because you're trying to find the best candidate. The Padres didn't know that Stammen was the best guy going into the process, but you put him down on the list because you think he could be. And then you talk to him, you talk to these other guys, and then you make a decision. Don't know what's so hard to understand about that. Shart Stain McGee says, "How about we blame everything on AJ? He's the one who acquired the players." He's not in the batter's box though. Yeah, he's the one who acquired the players that have a track record of performing and helping teams win, and then those players don't perform up to the level when it matters the most. But let's put it on AJ, not on the actual players. No, Devin, Stammen's name did not cross my mind for some reason. Yeah, no, I feel like an idiot. I don't know how I didn't think of, because I brought up AJ Ellis, like I brought up guys that are under Preller, but maybe I didn't see Stammen's name on. I knew Stammen was with the organization, but yeah, I don't know. It's probably changed. The Padres front office thing probably already changed. But I just wonder where he was underneath. Because like Alan Craig. Oh no, it's right here. Okay. So if you go to baseball operations, Craig Stammen is right there in between AJ Ellis and Scott Service. So yeah, I probably should have brought that name up. Alan Craig is a special assistant to the major league staff in baseball operations, same thing as AJ Ellis. Craig Stammen's title was special assistant major league staff and baseball operations. So those three were the same titles. And then Scott Service, special assistant baseball ops and player development. I assume they interviewed him as well. Maybe they bring him onto the staff. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Is there a good chance AJ Ellis could be the hitting coach? Maybe. I can't even really give you a great answer on that because I just don't know a ton about AJ Ellis's interactions. I I don't know if that would be the worst choice. How about they bring Will Myers in? Just kidding, just kidding. I love that guy though. We should hire a special assistant to Theo Epstein. Well, Theo Epstein's, I think, part of the Red Sox ownership group now, so that's not happening. Jesus, these flies. Okay, now that a manager is hired, what's next? They got the GM meetings coming up. There are the qualifying offers that have to be accepted by players or declined, or they have to be offered by the Padres. King will be offered, Cease will be offered, I would think, and then both of them will decline, and then there'll be free agents, and the Padres will get something back when those guys sign with other teams. Because Cease is not coming back. I'd be shocked. I'd be a little surprised if King comes back. And then there's other free agents, Luis Ariz, Ryan O'Hearn. I think a lot of Padres fans want to see Ryan O'Hearn come back. Who else? Jose Iglesias, Elias Diaz, Tyler Wade. Those are some of the free. Robert Suarez. Jason Adams still here. Morjon, Estrada. So there are still some guys that are here in that bullpen. Mason Miller. The rotation right now, I know that there are people that are reacting and overreacting to the state of the rotation right now. I refuse to do that other than just tell you what it looks like, which is Pavetta, Musgrove, no Darvish because he's out for the year, Vasquez as the 3, and then J.P. Sears and Matt Waldron, maybe. I forget what's up with Johnny Brito right now. But, yeah, I mean, those are the 5 that I immediately think of. But there's literally no point in reacting to that right now because it's November 6th. AJ acquires big guys, like key guys in the rotation, in spring training. So to sit here and react to what the rotation looks like now, that's just wasting time. There's no reason to be doing that. So now it's just on to potential moves, which the coaching staff, like who's going to fill out the coaching staff, that's something as well. Who knows how long that'll take? Will that be winter meetings? Will that be after the GM meetings, in between the GM meetings and the winter meetings? We'll see. But the good news is it does seem like a lot of the coaching staff will come back. So that should help with just getting things going right then and there at spring training. There's not the get to know you, all that. Like, let's just go. So that's good. But yeah, Craig Stammen, new Padres manager. Interesting hire, but I'm intrigued by it. I like it more than other people, but we all know nothing right now. We haven't seen him manage, so we're all just kind of guessing. But it's fun. I enjoyed this manager process. Obviously, you want the Padres to win the World Series, and you have a manager for a decade and all that. But like hearing about the names, it was fun to talk about. I know we didn't talk about Craig Stammen because that name didn't get out there. I should have brought it up, now looking back at it. But I'm glad that they went with someone like Craig Stammen. I would have liked Nick Hundley. AJ Ellis, I think, would have been probably pretty intriguing as well, also in the organization. But yeah, Craig Stammen, I think they could have done worse, that's for sure.